Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flizanes, your empowerment strategist and producer. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Today's episode is the Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 secrets to release weight and end body shame. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, it is my 3rd book, and it is back out as a 2nd edition. Today, I have with me Patty Woods, one of my empowerment strategists, and we're having a conversation around body shame, around self-care in this time of the year where everyone is focused on self-care and sort of the things that work and the things that don't work. And then also looking forward to what's coming up next week, which is Awaken Your Dream Life, and looking at the 4 parts of your brain and how those 4 different parts of your brain play a role in how well you do or don't take care of yourself. Those 4 parts of your brain can give you information on how to change the right things so that you stick to that healthcare journey a little bit better, so that you make the right choices about some of the habits that you want to change, and you stop repeating the same patterns over and over again, thinking that if you just try it one more time, it's going to work. Well, there's a reason for that, and we'd love for you to join us at Awaken Your Dream Life to figure it out. And I also want to give a shout out to all of you men that are out there, or those women who have men that would like to get more involved. I will have an opportunity for any man that would like to participate to be coached during the accountability portion of Awaken Your Dream Life by a male coach. Patrick Casey has now joined the Inner Circle Mastermind for 2024. He's completed the 6-month deep dive program, and he's already helping people and has been as a nurse practitioner for many years. So if anyone would like to join, but they want to work with a man, that is an option. So please make sure to know that there is going to be the option of that for those of you on the fence about, I don't know, do I want to be on a market with a bunch of ladies who are chatting it up, or do I want a man who maybe could kind of streamline things a little bit better for me? So please keep that in mind. And again, tickets are still on sale. We start next week. It's the one and the only time we're going to be doing it in this way. And again, I can't impress upon you enough how much value you're going to get out of not only the sessions that happen that you get to keep forever, but that live small group coaching where you're going to get personalized instruction and support and accountability. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to jjflizanes.com/brilliance. I did a talk called What Blocks Your Brilliance, and that really explains what we're going to cover in Awaken Your Dream Life. There are a lot of links for today's show, and they're all in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, please make sure to click Show More and look at all the different links that I mentioned in the show. Let me tell you a little bit about Patty. Patty Woods helps people who are stuck in the patterns of negative self-talk and poor body image, and who base their worth on the number on the scale to reframe their perspective and find appreciation and beauty where they are now. She also promotes, assists, and encourages people to be the healthiest and happiest versions of themselves. Patty is giving away 10 ways to kickstart your health journey, and you can get that at jjflizanes.com/Patty. But again, enjoy the rest of today's episode. Check out all the links, and I hope to see you at Awaken Your Dream Life. Welcome to the show, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2024 if you're getting this live. I'm so excited to bring today's show to you. I feel like I've done like a full circle. I'm coming back to a full circle. Today's topic is going to be the Invisible Fitness Formula. And with me, I have one of my trainers, one of my clients, one of my friends, and someone who you're going to get to know a lot more during 2024. Welcome back to the show, Patty.
Thank you very much.
So I asked Patty to be here so that we could have a conversation about something that she's passionate about and that I have been passionate about. And what I've been learning in the last couple of months through my community is that they're ready for more of this. And it's focusing back on the health piece, which of course I've been avoiding in ways because it's not the whole picture. It's not the whole conversation, but it is a place to start, and it is something that is important. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is that for a lot of you who've been following me for a while, maybe you started with Fit to Love, maybe you found me through Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. A lot of you know I used to be a personal trainer, and I still, of course, use all that information today. I still talk about health on the podcast, and I still will continue bringing people on that address things about health and total wellness in all ways, especially alternative medicine and homeopathic and in integrative medicine, functional medicine kind of ways. I wanted to announce that my 3rd book, The Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 Secrets to Release Weight and End Body Shame, is back on the market. It can be purchased now. It is a 2nd edition. It won't look like this. This is the galley copy, not for resale, that I got to check out before I approved the book to be sold. So for those of you that are ready for a health journey, you're ready to spend a little bit of time focusing on and building some discipline around some of the healthcare that you'd like to do and self-care that you'd like to do for yourselves, I wanted to let you know that it's now available. So it hasn't been. If you've tried to buy it, you could only buy a used copy of the first edition. But now not only is the paperback book available on Amazon, so is the Kindle, and so is the audio book. And Patty got a chance to help me with the audiobook. I needed someone else who wasn't me to listen to it, because if you've ever recorded an audiobook, it's not easy. It's way harder than a podcast, actually, because you're actually reading and trying to follow along exactly with what's been written in the book. Even though I wrote it, it's still very challenging. And so Patty's had firsthand experience. And in 2022, Patty was a part of the Inner Circle Mastermind. She's now a part of it again in 2024. And we worked on some body shame, things around kickstarting your health goals, things around body confidence. And so I thought she was the perfect person to bring on to have a conversation about the invisible fitness formula, 5 secrets to release weight and end body shame. Patty, welcome back. And let's start talking about your relationship to this subject matter, and kind of your passion around also wanting to help people with that.
Okay. Well, I was excited that you asked me to help on that particular book because it is a passion of mine. And it's been kind of where a lot of my life lessons have come from. Because early on, when I struggled to look a certain way, I put a lot of value in the way I looked. And it took years for me to get to a place where then I was concentrating on just being the healthiest version of myself and knowing that I am lovable and loving myself and feeling love from people and not basing it on what it said on the scale, which was always higher even than like it's a number, and I'm kind of dense. I have a solid body composition. So I even judged myself when I was younger at that number on the scale when really the size of my clothes and everything else was normal. But I didn't see it that way when I was younger. So it took a lot of kind of reprogramming for me to get to where I am today.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey in that, because we've dealt with that in different programs, like part of Empowerment Strategist, some of the rewire that I think you had done definitely during the mastermind, looking at some of the core wounds and sort of things that, which again, for people that are wanting to help other people, I always go back to, we all have a sort of zone of genius, and it has to do with your life experience. I can be really passionate about something, and then if I don't understand its direct connection to my own growth and my own childhood and my own lessons learned, then I may not understand the impact that I can make in someone's life just by sharing my story. And I think that's what I love to impress upon people, is that, you don't have to have the 10 degrees and the 5 certifications. You've lived your life in a way, and you've learned lessons, and you've been through things, and that has value to someone who isn't where you are right now. All you have to be is a couple steps ahead of somebody else to give them value. A lot of times I remember one of the doctors that had hired me as her trainer in in another state. We did it remotely. We did on Skype. When she was looking up, she'd heard me on a telesummit back when we were doing telesummits, and she loved what she heard, and she thought, my clients really need what you do. I need what you do. And then she reached out, and I remember she found someone else before me. She didn't find me first, but when she found that other person, she took one look at the other person and went, oh, no, 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 no. And it was literally based on what they looked like, because that person looked a little bit more like a fitness model or bodybuilder, and she just thought that energy was not what her clients would respond to. Now, educationally, we're different. And again, for some people, that's going to be exactly what they want, and that's going to inspire them, and they're going to say, yes, that's exactly what I want. I want to be like you, or I want to look like you, or I want to get my body to where you have achieved. But for her and her clients, she said, no, I need someone more relatable. I need someone more realistic. I need someone who isn't looking for what we think perfection, or what some unattainable, unforgiving, super white knuckle discipline. Like, you don't look at that and say, oh, that person lives a very fun life. You look and say, oh, that person must be extremely disciplined and very hardworking, and probably restricts a lot of things all the time. And my people aren't going to do that, is what she said. So that led to a several year career with many of her patients and clients. and helping them to, again, to do all these things in a way that was in balance. So looking back at your experience, let's first talk about just what it felt like you struggled with and what you learned, because we have to have the contrast first to like learn the lesson, right? And so what was your contrast? And it was that you felt thicker and that the scale said something, but your clothes were normal. But what kind of impact did that make on your life?
Well, I hid a lot. I didn't want to draw attention to myself at all. I actually kind of hid through high school. I picked a boyfriend, just like kind of when I think about what I was attracted to or what drew me to him, I couldn't really tell you. Like looking back, I know, but at the time, I was hiding. I wanted to lock that down so I didn't have to date. I didn't have to put myself out there. I could just slide through what ended up being almost 6 years of my life with this person who was not a good boyfriend, was probably did some damage in that self-confidence area. But for me, it was a safe place because I didn't have to get rejected over and over again. I could just get rejected by him consistently. It was a good place to hide at the time. So a lot of this is looking back on it and kind of learning things as I go and then looking back and saying, why? Why did I do that? Why was I in this abusive relationship? And knowing now that that felt safer than jumping out there and meeting someone new and having them not like me or, just not want to date me because they thought I was heavy or I mean there's so much to it that it's kind of hard to tell the whole story, but it's the little baby steps that I made along the way and looking back on them. I didn't want to get involved in things at school, even though I know that deep down I did want to be involved in things. So every once in a while, like the real Patty would pop up and try to get involved. And then it would kind of like, if that didn't work out, it would slip back into hiding. And then I'm trying to think of the other aspects because the dating part, yes. And then finally, I started getting just being aware of what I was in and pulled myself out of that and then consistently improved my situation until I had my husband now, who's, we've been married for 34 years. And I think he was a big help in that too, because he sees my soul. He doesn't look at the, I can't even trust him to tell me if an outfit looks good or not because I know he sees me through different eyes. And those were when we started the Empowerment Strategist program. That was what I wanted, was to see myself through Ned's eyes, like to look past all the clutter, basically. And so we've worked on that for a couple of years now, and it's getting better and better all the time.
And you've been helping some people. I know you've said, can you talk a little bit about like how that has come about in terms of like what does that look like? Someone says something, or I want to lose weight, or I don't like how I look, or I feel, and then I remember you saying it must have been in a Marco maybe, or maybe in a group call on Empower You or something, that you were feeling really inspired recently, more recently, to help people because you've gone shopping with people and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, you look great. Like, don't you want to help people accept themselves for where they are?
Well, yeah, it's amazing to me that these people that you look at and think they look perfect, like they look perfectly healthy, they exercise, and they're still so hard on themselves where they're feeling like they have, one little spot that sticks out and that's all they can see. I want to use this and it's a little crude, but as an example, like if we have a blemish or something and that's all you can see when you look in the mirror, but you are talking to your friend and you say something about it and they're like, oh, I didn't even see that. Like other people don't notice it. And you have to reprogram what you're looking at and what you're focusing on. And there are so many other things to be focusing on. I mean, for me, I know that I'm healthy. And now that is my goal, is to be optimally healthy. Yes, I do want to feel good when I get dressed. I want to know that I'm doing everything I can to be in the best shape I can be. But I'm not going to pick on myself. I'm not going to say things like, "Oh, I can't wear that." And that's what it was. I was shopping with someone who said, "Oh, I can't wear that. That's sleeveless. I can't wear that. That's short. It's above my knee. I don't show my legs. I don't show this." And it's like, how do you not, how do you cut out all those parts of your body and hide them from people? Like it's kind of wild to me. So yeah, that was always my goal was I felt like I'd hidden for a lot of years, and I would love to start earlier with some of these girls that are doing that now as young moms, because being a young mom, that was probably the heaviest I was because you are so wrapped up in taking care of your kids. You're not taking care of yourself. You're eating a lot of times off of their plate because you don't have time to make something for yourself. And it wasn't when I felt best about myself. It was maybe what kickstarted me into wanting to feel better about myself because I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to take that time for myself. So, yes, I'd love to be working with those girls who never have felt good about their bodies and now are kind of slipping into a place. And the other group is the people who say to me constantly, "Well, I'm too old for that. Like there's no getting in shape now because I'm, whatever, 50 something." And I'm 58 and I'm looking forward to 60 being the best shape. Like I have a couple years to get there, and that's what I'm looking forward to is I'm not stopping. I'm not saying this is it. This is what happens with, your hormones as you get older. I'm Watch me. I'm only going to get better. So I'm kind of excited and excited to motivate other people to get there and not just let life happen to you.
Great. And we have a free giveaway for you from Patty, the 10 habits to kickstart your health journey, as well as a little strategy session that she's offering for like the first 5 or 10 people. So we'll talk about that at the end, and that link will be in the show notes or here under the video on YouTube. Can I get you to talk a little bit about the Invisible Fitness Formula? Was it your first time? I know you helped me with the audiobook and you listened to it, but was that your first time, your first experience with the book?
I It's funny because when you asked me to do it, I felt like I had read it before, but you know how you read things in depending on where you are. So maybe I just read excerpts from it before or something, but when I listened to it, I felt like it was really well balanced. It touches on all the aspects. It touches on the food, the exercise, the right kinds of exercise, the hormones, and really that's what it is because so often we narrow it down to like one thing that we think we have to do or that we feel like we haven't done, and really it's kind of a an experiment. It's an experiment with your body and see what works, but to try all those things and to integrate all those things together, I just thought it was really well rounded and really, I wouldn't say common sense because that isn't so common anymore. A lot of people have so much false information that they've been given. Been given the wrong information over and over again about what to do. And this was kind of like this sensible approach and things that you could try and things that you could work out. So I really thought it was great.
It has an order for a reason. And again, for those of you that don't know the story, so as a personal trainer for over 20 years, probably 25 years, and as I was sort of knowing I was moving into doing more of the emotional work, I wanted to sort of honor, because I started Invisible Fitness in 2001. And I wanted to honor, even though I had worked as a personal trainer in New York City, but when I moved to California and started my own business, and I even had for the first year, I wasn't even Invisible Fitness, it was a different name, but my company became Invisible Fitness. And I wanted to sort of look back like a case study over the last 25 years to see if I had to tell you some of the 5 secrets, what are they? What works and in what order do you do them? And I think that's probably the most important piece of what I think is valuable about this book, because as I read it again for the audiobook, it's been 6 years, right? 2017. Yeah, it's been 6 years since this book was released the first time. And I thought, oh, I'm going to probably change a bunch of it. And all I did was clean up a couple things like links that weren't working anymore or whatever. But otherwise, the book stayed the same. And as I was reading it, I didn't have to edit too much because I would say the same thing now as I said 6 years ago. Like this stands the test of time because it's over the course of 25 years that I sort of observed as a personal trainer and learned by working with Dr. Allen and Jeannie Peters and being in that functional medicine clinic and also knowing all of these different things. And still today, I would say the same thing. Most people pick one thing and they do one thing and then they wonder why it doesn't or doesn't work. But there are 5 things that need to be done, 5 different areas to address. And I do them in the order in which I think will make the biggest impact. And I'll tell you what they are, but you can read exactly sort of what to do. But the first one is to talk about food, but I don't do it from a food diet. I do it from a digestion perspective, because there have been years in the past where I've led groups in sort of weight loss things. And I remember one in particular, this couple in Florida, and they had done this program with me, and they thought for sure I was going to tell them all things they couldn't eat, or we were going to be calorie counting, or they were going to be running miles and miles and miles every day. And they did none of the above. And I think at the end, because there was one of those testimonials in there that reminded me that she lost like 34 pounds in, I don't know, it was like maybe 2 or 3 months. It wasn't a really long program, but it came off as inflammation. It came off when we looked at digestion. It came off when we took out inflammatory foods. They could still eat a lot of foods that they loved. We just took out some of the things that we thought they might be sensitive to or that they had a reaction to. And then, but it never was a calorie counting. It never was a total restriction of any kind. It might have been a replacement or a testing out of. So food has to be the first thing, because it's the one thing we do the most. And then, of course, exercise comes next. And even as I was telling Patty before I pressed record today, the gym this morning, it's challenging for me. I had something to work on for me in terms of my core wound and why I get so jacked up at the gym watching people do stupid things. And again, I don't mean to be so judgy, but like literally when you walk into the gym full of weights and you don't understand that there are several sciences, there's biomechanics, there's physics, there's physics. If you pick up a weight, that weight is gravity based. There's only one direction of resistance. It's down or up, right? So this is the line. So if you're doing anything in a different line, whatever you have as your resistance that's gravity based doesn't affect the motion you're making. Like, again, there's a lot of complex sciences that go into working on your body, and most people don't know them. And it drives me crazy. And I don't know why. And maybe it's because people think personal trainers, to be fair, a lot of personal trainers don't know physics or science either. So, I mean, someone could have a great personality and a great body and great genetics and be a great cheerleader. I remember a trainer, I won't say his name, not that he listens to the show. I don't even know where he is in the world, but lovely man, lovely man. We were in networking groups together, and he was the biggest cheerleader, which is what a lot of people just need. They need that support system. They're words of affirmation. They're fueled by someone's attention to them. And like his service was taking the cap off the water bottle and handing it to his person, having the towel on his arm ready to blot their sweat as they were on the treadmill. It was walking them over. It was cheering them on. It was affirming them. Like that was his superpower. Terrible trainer, but amazing guy, right? But you worked with him because you wanted the cheerleader. And so as long as you understand why you gravitate towards what you gravitate towards, and that sometimes that person who is super cheerleadery might not have all the sciences needed to treat your body in the way that's going to respond to best. So this book is definitely put in order for a reason, because if you can handle the first 3 physical sciences, and the third one, of course, is hormones, and that's another thing that I talk extensively about hormones in the book and how it affects your metabolism and your exercise and your body fat composition, weight to, muscle to fat weight. And that is something to take into consideration, because if you have no hormones and you're wondering why you can't build muscle, or why your metabolism is terrible, or why you don't burn very many calories, or why you have to reduce your caloric intake so low to even see any result, it's because you have no active tissue. Again, these are scientific, very, very easy scientific things. And if you can get through the first 3 physical things, and now we get the body into balance, now we can look at the next 2 things, which are more emotional based, which are more supportive, environmental, psychological, behavioral, which are also needed for ongoing support. Now, Patty, you came to Awaken Your Dream Life live in 2022, and you're going to be attending and also doing small group coaching for Awaken Your Dream Life 2024. Looking at that material, can you speak to, if you've had any experience? To me, I look at learning about your 4 different characters as another level of understanding why someone does or does not take care of themselves, or the balance, or the communication, or who's driving the train, or how do I use that to change my behavior moving forward, to be more disciplined, or to get the support that I need, or to balance in a way that actually gets the job done, instead of the reason why I have no interest in the fitness conversation on a long-term basis is because it's the same people doing the same thing every year. You think you have to white knuckle it, be super disciplined, be super restrictive, and you're on like one speed. And that speed does not take into consideration the complexities of everything else in your life that you're trying to balance. So I find that that's why over and over again, the most successful people are the most control freaks about it. And so they go, and they're restrictive and they're controlling. And they're like, nobody wants to live like that. So eventually you fall off the wagon because you're tired of that behavior. And there's not a lot of love and support. And there's a ton of body shaming. And so to me, this whole fitness conversation is like turns because I look at people who may, be in really great health, but they aren't fun. They're boring and they're super tight about all the things and they don't have a lot of fun, or their fun is different. And that's fine. You don't have to have fun in food and drink or whatever. But again, sometimes like there's no flow. It's too stiff. And I think that's at the end of the day, a lot of us want to feel free. And a lot of things we think we have to do to be healthy or fit doesn't make us feel free. So we battle that. And to me, adding the next level of conversation about Awaken Your Dream Life, about the core characters, whole brain living, gets us to go, oh, how do all my characters participate in helping me more? So did any of that sort of resonate with you or play a role in the last year and a half of maybe how you deal with body shame, self-care, all that?
I'm weak in my character one, and I'm aware of that and have been. But knowing that I'll be better and happier with that balance has kind of inspired me to know that there are things that I can schedule into my life that are self-care, which I think would be probably a different, like or maybe character three, but scheduling that to do it, like it all is part of the mechanics of the whole thing. So for me, making that time and being more structured has been really great for me in the last year because together Ned and I can do, like, I bought us these huge 80-ounce water jugs and with a straw, and in the morning one of us fills it up for the other. Like, now that's our thing, and once you start doing it often enough, it becomes kind of this natural, easy thing to do. So for me, I was a huge coffee drinker, and I was afraid that that was kind of affecting my hormones, the cortisol and everything. So I've switched that up. That's part of my thing, as I mix chicory root in with my coffee. So I kind of do a half and half blend. And then I fill up on the water right away, even before I drink coffee. I've got a good amount of water in me. So I am not reaching for that. I've just kind of changed my little ritual, and making those little changes that become a everyday way of life has really worked well for me. And journaling, like, I'm pretty good about using that MyFitnessPal app, and I can plug in everything I ate for the day. And it's not so structured for me to not want to do it. Like, it's kind of okay, I just have to do this and see where I came in at the end of the day. And I don't do it all the time, but I'll go through time periods where I really need to track. I'm kind of like going through the holidays. I feel a little out of control and I'd like to pull that control back in. And that's the way I use it. So it's worked really well for me.
So obviously today is January 2nd of 2024. Oh my God. For those of you that are watching this live or listening to this live in real time. And hmm, in 9 days, 10, 11, 12, 8, 10 days, 11 days. In 11 days from now, we'll be starting Waking Your Dream Life live virtual 2024. And this is the first and only time it will happen. And Patty is one of the coaches who will, again, be leading people through small group coaching to keep you accountable to the things that we're doing in that class and that workshop that's going to be from the 13th to the 31st. And if you're new to me and you haven't heard about this before and you want to know more, go to jjflizanes.com/brilliance. Actually, you can go to jjflizanes.com. Right on the homepage of my website is a talk called What Blocks Your Brilliance. And in that, I talk about some of the factors that block your brilliance. And we're going to deal with all of them in Awaken Your Dream Life. So I'd love you to take a look at that because we're going to be doing it with you. We'll have plenty of support. It's peanuts for what you get in terms of how much content is going to be covered that you get to keep forever and the small group coaching that you get. with people like Patty or with me during that time to really shift you into a new awareness about your habits and patterns when it comes to self-care and some of the things, some of the like easy basic things. Sometimes it's one little thing that changes and you get results because you didn't realize what a big factor that was. And again, that's what we're sort of going to discover psychologically from the Awaken Your Dream Life model of the 4 characters. But then past that, anyone that signs up now, anyone who's paid full price for their ticket for Awaken Your Dream Life is also going to get a special, very discounted offer for a program that I created around the Invisible Fitness Formula when I first made it 6 years ago. And because I actually kind of want to test it out and see where we are with it in terms of how effective it is for you. It won't include any coaching or anything, but I'm kind of willing to gift or make a really special offer for those of you that are interested. And then I'm also going to reach out and say, hey, who wants to do that? Who wants to do a 30 or 60-day program around the Invisible Fitness Formula and implementing these 5 different secrets? I'm interested in testing it. I asked people in my membership and I had a whole bunch of people be like, I am. I'm like, okay, so I guess this is where we are right now. I'm just responding to where you guys are. And if your physical self-care is not under control or in a good habitual way yet, and it's something you keep sort of, it gnaws at you because you're not taking care of, it will increase your frequency. It will change your neurological programming, because if you're not doing it and you're waiting to feel better to do it, as we learned through this year's rewiring your core wound patterns, that's not how it happens. We have to, in order to create neuroplasticity in your brain, you have to do the action even if you don't want to do it. And the more you do that, the faster we create those pathways that say, I remember clients used to say to me after they'd been to the gym for a while, like getting them to like work out would be, all the complaining and then this, I didn't get in. But then after like a couple of months, if they didn't do it, they were, oh my God, I feel so much better when I work out. I need to work out. And when I don't do it for several days, I feel really bad. And so they could see the difference between when they took care of themselves. I mean, this morning, for me, going to the gym, which is sometimes difficult watching other people, but exercising in general, whether it be hiking on the trail with Doug or going to the gym, I get downloads. It is like I have to go for my business. Literally, I get choo, 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 choo. Like, because all of a sudden I remove myself and my subconscious gets to speak and I get these hits because I'm doing something else. Like I'm busying my character 1 and character 2. So all of a sudden my character 4 is receiving all the hits, the downloads, the visions, the inspiration that I don't get when I'm sitting here in the seat or when I'm doing something else. So for me, exercise is a part of my business because it creates clarity in my brain. And I would say that for most people, most of you who have a problem to solve, when you do a state change and you get out of the frequency or energy of whatever you're trying to solve and you do something different, then you can get more clarity because you can rise up in a different frequency to hear the answer. When you're in problem mode, you're not going to get the answer. When you're in problem mode, you got to be in solution mode, which is in a higher frequency than problem mode. So Patty, you put together a 10 habits to kickstart your health journey. Do you remember, or do you want to share like 1 or 2 of them? This is something you all can download if you want a little cheat sheet of sort of how to get started on kickstarting your health journey for 2024, whether you join us at Awaken Your Dream Life or get the Invisible Fitness Formula or whatever, or work with Patty or work with me. What do you think 2 of the most impactful things on that list of 10 are?
Well, what I already brought up already was for me, I needed to drink water. And I talk to so many people who are like they go through the whole day and they might drink something else. They might have, I don't know, an iced tea or coffee or something. And maybe they go from coffee to in the evening having wine, but they don't drink water. And when you're dehydrated, things don't work the way they should. So that for me, and I did drink water, but not nearly enough. And some days I get busy and I wouldn't. So making that a goal for myself and I suggest that for other people is don't walk around dehydrated. Everything works better when you have fluids, the right fluids. And the other thing would be keep a journal, like keep a journal about your thoughts about your body. Like I watch my grandkids who are 2 and 4 right now. I pick them up. I I'm bench pressing them basically sometimes. I'm doing all kinds of things with them. This body has raised 3 boys and then now these grandkids, I'm taking care of them. I feel really good that I can go and jump on the trampoline with them. I'm grateful for it and I will appreciate it. I thank my body all the time for all the things it does. We built this house. I'm climbing up ladders. I'm lifting heavy things. really appreciative of being able to do all of those things. And I think when you're in that appreciation mode with your body responds a lot better to you. You know, you're mean to it, you are talking bad about it all the time and not necessarily consciously. Pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to what you're saying about yourself, sometimes out loud, and you might say, "Oh, I'm just joking," but you're saying it and your body's feeling it, and you need to be appreciative, and you can easily refocus that negative talk to be positive talk. You just have to be aware, and that awareness is key, I think, for putting you in that right mode for your body to do good things for you.
One of the clients from the Rewire, and I think she talked about it on the podcast, the first beta group Rewire, you know, when we looked at sort of the negative ways we talk to ourselves, I think most of us would say, oh, no, I'm not that bad, because we think we have a certain level until we start journaling or noticing or really tuning in to how often we say negative things. So you may, because it becomes so much part of your habit and like habitual way of being with you until you start looking at it and taking a step back and you go, oh my God, I'm not very nice to myself. And I never realized to the degree I was until I looked at it. But I'm sure that most people say, oh no, I have negative self-talk, but it's not that bad, or it's normal. It's what everybody else does. But I think if you take that journal approach to look at that and then redirect and appreciate your body, you'll start to change that frequency, and then you'll want to take care of it. Because my first book, Fit to Love, how to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit to attract love of your life, which is still available. You can buy that on Amazon. The audiobook will be coming hopefully by February. Hopefully it's one of my goals is to get that audiobook done. But that eventually, at least. But that book was really about the energy behind self-care, right? Looking at that when people come at it from self-hatred, which is what a lot of people do. They feel like they only can get love if they look a certain way. And that's what I didn't like. That's what I rejected about the healthcare industry and the fitness industry, was this sort of aim for something that was ideal, or, you know, and again, but super unhealthy and not balanced and not healthy on any level necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying someone who has a whatever perfect body you think is perfect body isn't necessarily healthy, but unless you know how they got there, unless you know what they, you know, what their inside self-talk is. I mean, I think if nothing else, we could all acknowledge, and we have learned over the last couple of years, how many people that we assume from watching them on the outside are happy, successful people who freaking kill themselves because, and they never show you what they were really dealing with. And I'm not saying that that means don't trust anybody, but don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions that you think because someone looks a certain way, has a certain amount of money or success or whatever, that that means anything. You don't know that, because we all interpret life differently. And this piece always bugged me when it was just the idea of what it looks like on the outside. I remember, and I don't think I put this in the book, I know I talked about it years and years ago. I had a friend who I worked with in New York City she was a waitress, and I was managing a restaurant at the time on top of a personal trainer and acting. And I remember I told her that I got my parents a trainer, and she said, and then she met my mom, and she was like, hey, your mom is skinny. And I'm like, you think I hired a trainer for my parents because I want them to look better? Like, how shallow do you think I am? Really, it's how shallow is she? Because we're no longer friends. But you know, I'm like, seriously? No, I got a trainer for my parents so they can build bone, build muscle, stay strong, not get injured, get ahead of their health. But her focus was, and she wasn't an actress or anything, but her focus was that I wanted my parents to look better. Oh my God, no, that isn't at all. But again, you can't make these assumptions. So I love the idea of journaling to really become aware, not necessarily to anchor the negative, but to change and redirect into the positive, to turn the dial, to tune into the frequency of appreciation and gratitude for what your body does, which in turn will hopefully inspire you to want to take better care of it so that you continue to do the same thing over and over again, right? I find that people use shame to keep themselves stuck. And something I wanted to address about like you and your boyfriend, and you didn't even mention, and I know it's another conversation, but some of your core wounds come from your mom, who kind of also modeled this for you, and she became that voice that then your boyfriend became, right? Which is sort of the what I'm going to call an upper limit. I don't know if you heard the show that Dr. Jane Gwynn and I did about healing sexual trauma. One of the things that I thought was really enlightening for me about that conversation with her was, if you would have asked me before, like if I could help somebody with that, and I would say, I don't know, if I could. But then as we talked, I realized I have a lot of tools that would help somebody. But what I saw differently about some of the conversation around that, and I'm going to say about weight loss too, is this idea upper limiting of allowing ourselves to be happy, of allowing ourselves to accept ourselves. I was interviewed yesterday on a podcast, and the woman asked me, she said, I used to work out a lot and I used to love putting on my lipstick, but then people around me would say, don't get too big in your britches, or who do you think you are? And I said, well, that's because you triggered something in them and they wanted to push you back down. But unfortunately, that's what we do, is we look for validation from people in our immediate circle, like environment, whether it be family, friends, coworkers, school, people. We look for that, but those people might not have the same frequency as we do. They may not be on the same trajectory as we are. So we're asking, it's that don't cast your pearls before swine thing, which that's a stupid saying, but like you get the point of like, why am I asking someone who doesn't value themselves to congratulate me on valuing myself? Like they can't even see me. Frequency, like when we look at epigenetics and quantum physics, they're not on the same frequency, not good nor bad, just different. They can't see me. Therefore, they can't appreciate what I did because they're not where I am, and they wouldn't do it for themselves. So why do I think they're going to be happy for me? So when we, from the acceptance of someone outside sources saying you're pretty, you're skinny, you look healthy, I think that it's an upper limit for us, especially as women, to not just accept, because we have to have social proof, or we don't want to be judged for being bitchy or being self-absorbed. I think it's an upper limit of saying, well, until somebody else tells me it, I'm not going to claim it. Versus, right? I think we get scared to actually like ourselves and to be okay with ourselves because we're waiting for someone else to do it first. And that vicious cycle is a victim mentality, which will keep us small and will keep us where we are, which means we're never going to take our power back in our self-care because we're waiting for someone else to validate that we're worth it.
Yes. And I also think that you have to look, the boyfriend's voice took over in a negative way. I think my mom's intentions were always good, both my parents, and maybe not understanding, because we had some people that were obese in my family, there was a concern. So I think her concern was trying to save me from a future of, but thought that I would have to just say that it wasn't the right way for me. But it was kind of a, don't eat this and don't eat that, when I feel like I was eating everything that my siblings were eating. So for me, it felt like there was something wrong with me, but really I was just built differently. My sisters are all tiny, like, 0, probably the largest one is a 4 or 6 or something. Like they're tiny built, they're tiny structured. So I would just say, in my mom's defense, I think it was a concern for me that I took in a different way, which led me to a boyfriend that was saying those things to try to keep me down because he was insecure and he didn't want me to leave. So his things were negative. So we have to be careful about who we're putting ourselves around and be aware of their intentions also, because someone might have the best intentions for you, and you need to kind of acknowledge it and be aware of where they're going with their comments. And then also, when it is negative, you have to remove yourself from that situation, because it's hard to just be in that situation and let it not affect you. So for me, removing myself from that helped a lot. And then I had to stop the negative talk, and because then I couldn't relate to it if someone else says it. Now I know I don't get offended, but I get kind of a ha ha ha, like when people say something about me not eating right. I eat right 80% of the time. If you're with me because we're out, and I might eat something that I wouldn't normally eat, if you're judging me and thinking I eat that all the time, then you're wrong, and it's okay. I don't care anymore what they think. I know, I know what I do. I know what I do at the grocery store. I know that I make our meals here. And so I don't get offended, where before I would. It would be so frustrating to me. Like doctors saying, just stop eating cake and cookies. Well, I don't even eat cake and cookies. It's not my thing. And so I've had to leave doctors because they don't listen and they don't understand. I'm asking them for help, and they're telling me, look, stop eating fast food. I don't eat fast food. I haven't eaten fast food and I don't even know probably 20 years. So it's just funny to me that there is this perception out there, and maybe it's like you at the gym. It's kind of I get really frustrated when people eat garbage that isn't food and then will judge me because of how I look. That is one of my key frustrations. So I guess just be aware of the other input that we have around us would be another thing.
Well, what would you say made the biggest impact on you healing and sort of pivoting in the body shame area and body confidence? Because I know that's what you were focusing on towards the end of the mastermind the first time was body confidence.
I think actually realizing that I see women who are a different body type, and my appreciation has never been for the super skinny woman and thinking, oh wow, she's beautiful because she's thin. There are some full-sized women that carry themselves with a confidence, and that's what I find really beautiful. And getting there is a step, that there's something disconnected there, but we can connect it by doing those things, by taking the best care of your body, knowing that you've done that, and speaking correctly to yourself. I think that for me, there's just this whole understanding of general health that we have a responsibility to do for ourselves. And if you're listening to the news, you're going to be jerked around left and right. If you're trying to follow the latest fad, you're going to be jerked around. And it all comes down to you need to do what's right for your body and know that you were given this body for a reason. Like I shouldn't be thinking of it as a fight. I should be thinking of it as how can this body look the best that it can with how I dress, with everything. But it's what makes me feel good, and not really feeling like I need to be dressed in muumuus to try to hide anything. This is my body and I like it, and I'm going to wear things that I feel good in.
Can't wait to see the dress. So if you would love to get Patty's 10 habits to kickstart your health journey, go to jjflizanes.com/Patty, Patti, Patti. All these links will be in the show notes. And I guess at this point, I just want to remind everybody of kind of a couple different things that you can do. It's January 2nd. What is your 2024 going to look like? What's your theme for this year? What is your desire? What is your focus? Where are you going to put your attention? Where are you going to put your investment of your time, your money, your efforts? Is it on your body? Is it on your health? Is it on your finances? Is it on your relationship? Is it on your own state of happiness? I did a application for a talk in some place, and one of the things that I didn't want to title it because I could say so many different things, but the night before I'd had a block party here, and these two very cute older people who live up the street. He's going to be 90. Oh, actually, I think his birthday is like today. I think he's turning 90 as of the day of this recording, and his wife is like 87. And anyway, he said to me, "What do you do?" And the more times you answer that, especially if you think about your audience, you get better and better at sort of making it really succinct. And so I said to them, I help people learn how to be happy. And he went, oh, like they were like, whoa, that's important. It's like, right. He goes, oh, you a therapist? I said, I'm not, I'm a coach. And there was right. But that like was impactful. But we all think we have to like make some fancy name, or we have to like say something really like, no, I just got to the bottom of anyway. So that's what I did for this talk. Was I just said, hey, this is what I help people do. I help people learn how to be happy. But that translates into all aspects of your life. And so for me, like looking at how do I simplify? How do I get the message out there? How do I help more people? How do I connect with like-minded people? How do I find those people? What is your goal? And maybe Patty, you can answer this too. So what are your goals for 2024? I'll tell you mine real quick so you can think about yours for a second, or how to say it. 2023 was a little bit of a take the foot off the gas and really focus and fine tune, and also just sort of chill out. As you know, because you were here, we did the construction on our bathroom, and that took a couple of months. And I had all these ideas about things I was going to do in the beginning of the year with the construction. I'm like, oh, I bought these 2 courses. I'm going to do the courses. I'm going to meditate. I even changed my schedule again to allow in the meditation time. And of course, with construction, all you can do is construction. I didn't know that. I had never been in construction. And now I was like, what the hell was I thinking? Nothing was getting done during construction. So all these plans that I had did not happen. Now, if you have construction happening someplace you're not living, maybe that's possible, but it was literally in my house. So we were all discombobulated. But for me, 2024 is about sort of massive visibility and connection and really taking the time to reach out to, all kinds of different communities and people just to say, hey, this is what I do if anyone's interested, because I know there are people looking for me that can't find me yet. And for those of you that found me but you don't want me, that's cool. I help people learn how to be happy, but I have a very specific way of doing that when it comes to rewiring your core wound patterns and taking your power back. And but I'm also not going to, it wasn't hiding. I definitely don't hide, but it was about taking a step back. I had put so much out, so much out, so much out that I was like, no, I'm going to take a year and I'm going to like not do a live event. I'm going to kind of pull back a little bit to the best of my ability. But 2024 is going to go back out with intention and clarity and focus for very specific messaging in the world. So if anybody wants to help me with that, let me know. Reach out. I want to help the world know how to be happy and rewire your core wound patterns. Patty, what is your goal?
Well, I do want to help you with that. So that's me reaching out. And I think I am going to be helping you with that.
You are.
But yeah, like I said, I want to be in the best shape when I turn 60, which is actually a year and a half. So this year is my big year of figuring it all out. Like I want to spend a little extra time on checking out my hormones and all of that. I always get them checked and check them in the range, but I want to really do a deep dive on my health to optimize it. And also our finances, because we built and then we took this, like last year was kind of a relaxing, but we were talking about it this morning and we were saying, we didn't travel as much. We didn't do as much that we wanted to do. We did a few little trips. So this year we'd like to plan some more traveling. We'd like to do some more stuff, which means also we need to make some more money. So we talked about that a little bit. So that's kind of the big plan for us so
Great.
far.
Great. Well, as you know, in the mastermind, we will be doing Think and Grow Rich. Oh, it's in the other room. I was looking for the book. Implementing that, which I'm very excited for. And as of the recording of this, I might have one space left in the mastermind if anyone's interested who does the emotional work. I have to be very clear about that. You have to want to do the emotional work because it's kind of it goes together. It all goes together. Like why we don't put ourselves out there is because of our own core wounds or feeling insecure or being afraid of what's being reflected back to us or what we're attracting. So, okay, so a lot of different things happened today on today's show. Again, Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 Secrets to Release Weight and Body Shame. Second edition is out now for you to purchase in whatever form you would like or all the forms, paper copy, ebook, and audiobook. My first audiobook. I mean, I've only had a podcast for almost 10 years. It was about time I made an audiobook. Hello. Anyway, whatever, priorities, right? Sometimes we just don't see things. Patty's 10 Habits to Kickstart Your Health Journey. It's a free download as well as a strategy session that you'll get for the first 5 or 10 people that take it. So please go to jjflizanes.com/Patty. You can also let me know that you're interested in doing a 30 or 60 day something with a group of people from my community and me and possibly some of my trainers. There is no cost to let me know this. You'd go to jjflizanes.com/body shame. You've heard me mention it before in the show, but go ahead and register yourself. And that just means I'm going to let you know when we're going to do something. And then if you want to just buy the book, so I made a link in case, I mean, you can go to Amazon, it's on Amazon, but you can go to jjflizanes.com/IFF, Invisible Fitness Formula, and that'll take you directly to the Amazon page where all the things are. And then last but not least, Awaken Your Dream Life. We have 11 days from today where we're going to start this process and get this journey going because we need all parts of your brain to be working and in unison and in harmony. And you get to decide who is the one who will help you. So for instance, Patty's character one, we gotta activate your character one this year more than ever in order to accomplish some of these goals for you. You're good with the 3 and the 4. Now we got to get the 1 up, right? And so for a lot of you, sometimes maybe you're too much 1 and not enough 3, which is why you're unhappy. Or maybe you don't have you have a lack of trust about the universe, about life, about how things unfold. So that's going to affect your character 4. And some of you are letting your character 2 run amok and ruin your whole lives because all you do is hear wah, wah, wah in your brain about everything you want to do. And then that character 2 wants to keep you safe, but is really sabotaging your growth. So if you would like to do 2024 differently, this is the last call that I'll have for, and you'll get whatever program gets included with the Invisible Fitness Formula also, if that's something you want to continue past this. But please join us for the first and the last live virtual Awaken Your Dream Life, where you get to keep all the content forever, plus get yourself a small group coaching with one of my coaches like Patty in order to implement these changes within a 2 to 3 week period. Pretty intense, pretty fast, but very effective, and can start to change the whole trajectory of your 2024 differently than you ever done it before. That's jjflizanes.com/dream life. Thank you, Patty, for being here with me today and for putting me with the book, and both in the audio portion of it as well as implementing it and being able to speak to some of the things that maybe it's inspired you to look at more, like hormones. Right. So I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
All right, everybody, to a successful, healthy, abundant, and new 2024. 2024 is, numerology wise, is an 8, which is about abundance and success. So let's focus on that in every area of our lives. And I hope to work with you in some way or see you on something. I've given you a lot to think about today, and reach out to Patty if you want to get the 10 habits to kickstart your health journey, and look forward to 2024 with all of you.